Sponsored by Stand Up to All Hate. Call a timeout against hate.
Listen, there was a football game last night, I think.
Is that what it was
called?
Green Bay played a football game. I don't know what you call that. For
New Orleans stinks.
Dang, they're bad.
Thank God they're hosting the Super Bowl this year because that's the closest they're getting for a long-ass time. They're in salary cap hell.
That's the closest the Lombardi's going to come to their place. Dang.
Yeah, it is that's a rough one. It's like the loser who goes and buys a picture frame at a store and he just keeps the pictures that were inside of it because he doesn't want to be reminded he has no family. The Saints are like, you know what? At least the Super Bowl's here. Can we just get a picture of that because that's the closest we're going to be for a long time.
Dang.
Congratulations to the Green Bay Packers.
They look good. But New Orleans looks so bad, it made me question, are the Packers continuing to improve? I'll say this. To win the game 34-0 in an NFL game, it is not easy. I don't care how bad
first
the team
shutout
is.
of the year.
It's not easy to shut a team out, for one. For two, even if New Orleans is as bad as we say they are, they're still an NFL team. And you got to handle your business and take care of your business because any given Sunday, a team like that can beat you. And they decisively tore them apart. 34 points. They played defense, lights out defense. Like Rashad Gary leads that defense. They are as good as advertised, and I'm very curious. I'm very curious because all of a sudden you have at least 4 teams in the NFC that are emerging as legit teams that could possibly win it all. Not just win the NFC, they could legitimately win it all.
Detroit's injuries has opened everything up, I think. And look, offensively, they still got a ton of talent, but defensively, they're ravaged with injuries. I don't think either Minnesota or Green Bay, who has seen them twice,
would lose to them.
Well, I don't think they're worried about having to go to Detroit to have to play them. Like, I don't think they look at that and go, okay, that's a daunting task. I mean, yeah, Green Bay lost to Detroit twice this year, but I don't think Green Bay looks at Detroit and says, oh, man, I'm not sure we can get there. I don't think Minnesota looks at Detroit and says, oh, man, I'm really hoping, if we've got to go through Detroit and look, Minnesota's still alive for the 1 seed, still alive to potentially take that spot. I look at it and I go, I think, and we can have the conversation about the AFC. The NFC is way more wide open than the AFC is right now because Detroit suffered all those injuries. And I think, to your point, it has opened the door for a team like Green Bay who can run the football. Josh Jacobs had a little bit of a down game last night as far as yardage goes, but Green Bay's got a real shot. And credit to that organization, credit to Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and company and your guy Brian Gutekunst, who has put together that team. Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Packers, actually spoke afterwards.
What did he
following
say?
The clinching.
Hey, what the Love had to say?
But yet another playoff spot.
What does it mean to get into the playoffs? I'm sure it's been the expectation all along, but you've finally gotten there. What's the mood like? All right, we're here.
No, it's big time. That's something that obviously the goal is Super Bowl. So that's the first step right there is making the playoffs. Obviously, this was a big time game to clinch that spot, and I'm proud of the way we came out here and handled business. And so it's big time.
So they've now made the playoffs in all but 1 year since Matt LaFleur's been the head coach
LaFleur's a beast,
there.
man. LaFleur, you would have thought with Aaron Rodgers and the way he kind of carried him at times that he was just like Aaron Rodgers' pet. You remember when Aaron Rodgers went up to the defensive coordinator and dapped the defensive coordinator up like LaFleur ain't got nothing to do with this success. Let me dap up my D coordinator. You remember when that happened? And there was like a moment in time where you're like, man, Matt LaFleur, like, geez, didn't he get lucky getting, Aaron Rodgers as a young rookie head coach and all that. Everybody was
must be nice.
Must
MVPs.
be nice,
yeah.
right? Hey, man, he's legit. He's legit. Now, I'll tell you who else is legit. Jacobs.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs is legit. Now, he didn't break 100. He didn't break 100 on him. Like 100, 100. That's what you say, He ain't break 100.
The C note. some would call it.
Yeah. He didn't break 100. But he is out here making a statement. It's taking the pressure. It's Jordan Love moved the ball around so much last night. Like, you didn't see a receiver with a crazy stat line, but you saw a lot of receivers with targets and with yards. And Josh Jacobs gives Jordan Love that outlet. I talked about it last year. Jordan Love had Aaron Jones as an outlet. And any quarterback that has an outlet in their backfield where I can just give it to you right here, it's quick, it's close, I won't miss it, and you can do things with that ball where you force defenses to – if you pay attention – people, like, you'll watch some football games, pay attention to the fact that no defenses really don't pay attention to running backs once they leave the backfield. If they flare, if they go into the flats, defenses really don't account for them very much outside of them running the ball. So when you get a receiver that can actually run the ball, but when they stay in, they block, right? And then they release, you got to cover them. Somebody's got to cover them, or you gain an extra man. When a quarterback knows that their running back can give them protection and catch the ball in the passing game, in the short game, for one. I mean, some of them, like the Camaras of the world and, a few others, the C-Max, they can actually go out and be receivers as well. You plan for them, but it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult for a defense to maintain or want to take a defender and put it on the back in the pass because, generally speaking, the quarterbacks aren't throwing it to them. The ones that do, and they use their backs correctly and they use their backs effectively, it opens up your passing games. It creates different lanes for your receivers. It creates a level of, to me, a level of comfort for the quarterback. And Jordan Love has really, really, I think at this point, Jonas, he has exceeded what it is that you look at and what you want your quarterback to be. We were talking yesterday or the other day, maybe it was yesterday, about how I think Q made mention of the fact that how this is the model. You're going to want, which Jordan Love didn't come in and play right away, but you're going to want a quarterback to come in from your draft pick and play right away and turn your team around like Jaden Daniels is doing in Washington. It made me think about this, and it made me think about LaFleur, and it made me think about, that actual thought process is that, can you actually do it? And the analogy that I came up with was, it's like having, in Daytona, like in racing and NASCAR, right? You have, now everybody has to use the same parts and everything, right? Like, you don't get to use different this, different that. You're basically, in essence, putting the same car out there on the track. I feel like right now in the NFL, with these types of quarterbacks that are coming into the league, if you get an elite quarterback, you're basically putting the same type of quarterback out there on the field. Question is the organization, not the coach, is the organization the proper driver for the vehicle?
Yeah.
Because you can have the same car, but some reason somebody comes in last with that same car and somebody wins the race with that same car.
Well, we've been talking about it, and it's so, like, to see the differences between the two is astonishing. But it shouldn't be if you've been following these two organizations for the past 3, 4, 5 decades. The difference between the Packers and the Bears is astonishing in the sense that the Bears, like, for people that have not been paying close attention, Caleb Williams is playing good. Like, he had a really good game this past Sunday against Detroit. Like, he's playing good. He hasn't. He's like setting rookie records for not throwing an interception. Like, he's getting better and better and better. His accuracy down the field at times still needs to work on that, but he's gotten much better. He is the last of their problems for an organization who the quarterback has always been the problem. They could figure out the defense. They could identify a running back. They had all. Now they finally have the quarterback figured out. The defense is a sieve. They can't run the football, and their offensive line has let him get sacked, 60 times in the NFL, most in the league. Green Bay hires Matt LaFleur, and the Bears are trying to find a coach. The whole, from start to finish, top to bottom, the whole thing is a disaster. Green Bay hires Matt LaFleur, who called plays for 1 year in Tennessee. And it's not like the Titans' offense was lighting the league on fire. Hired him for calling plays 1 year. He comes to the Packers, and to your point, the thought was, well, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's he's only doing it because he's got Rodgers. Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Let's see what we can do. Since Rodgers has left, the Packers organization has ascended. And Aaron Rodgers is in the midst of whatever the hell the experience with the Jets is, because that organization, a full-blown diaper fire. And it's just...
They lost, by the way. I mean, I know that's like maybe not breaking news anymore, but, they did lose again.
But it's like, nobody had Matt LaFleur as this top candidate. Matt LaFleur was looked at as he's a Sean McVay guy. He's one of these McVay guys.
That's during that little youth movement.
Bro, what other evidence do you need to know that organization does it the right way? So if they're drafting a quarterback, they're probably going to get it right. If they're hiring a head coach, they're probably going to get it right because their organization is stable and they do it the right way. And I'll bet you, if you were to pull Rodgers aside and ask him, hey, do you have a better appreciation for the Packers organization now that you've seen the clown show that is the Jets? Rodgers would probably be, you have no idea. You have no idea. So just to see that they're back in the playoffs with Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs and Matt LaFleur as their coach, who was a 1 year play caller in Tennessee and not a guy that people looked at and said, that's going to be the next big thing in the world of coaching. That's stable organizations. That's a functional, high operating organization that does things the right way, and it's paying dividends.
It's a very, very. Is it timing? Is it by chance or fate? I don't really know, but I mean, you're right. It's like this team got better. It was like they were released, like. Aaron Rodgers was actually holding these boys hostage, basically.
And by the way, I just want to be clear, as the star of Aaron Rodgers' Netflix documentary, I support Aaron Rodgers and his decision. He needed to go a separate way, but the Jets organization, in comparison to the Packers, is just a disaster.
And what's crazy is
so bad.
There were two names at the epicenter of all of the confusion with the New York Jets. And one of the names is Aaron Rodgers. Sponsored by Stand Up to All Hate. Call a timeout against hate.